Anka-Kushu, known as the Phoenix in English, is one of the oldest and most mysterious legends in human history. Its roots can be traced back to ancient Egypt, but it has spread to Greek, Persian, Indian, Arab, and even Far Eastern mythologies, being called by different names in each culture, while consistently representing the themes of eternal life and rebirth. This legendary creature is seen as a sacred being that embodies the endless cycle of life, spiritual transformation, and humanity's rebirth after dark times. According to the narratives, the formation of the phoenix is considered a divine blessing. The Egyptians believed this bird, known as Bennu, had existed since the creation of the world and was considered a sacred entity that appeared with the rising sun. Its call was seen as the first sound that initiated time, thereby associating it with infinity and immortality. In Greek mythology, the phoenix was regarded as a sacred being placed in the sky by Zeus, serving as a bridge between gods and humans. Its rebirth from flames symbolized the purity of the soul and the fortification of virtue over time. The Greeks viewed the wisdom and resurrection of the phoenix as a reference to life's inevitable cycle. Each transformation brought forth new understanding and inner enlightenment. Various mythologies present similar tales about the birth of the phoenix. According to the most common belief, this mythical bird, after completing a certain lifespan, would set itself ablaze in a nest built of aromatic branches and resins. After being consumed by flames, a young and powerful phoenix would arise from its ashes. This eternal cycle represents not only physical renewal, but also spiritual transformation and humanity's hope for a new beginning. Throughout history, the phoenix has deeply influenced people's cultures, beliefs, and arts. In ancient Egypt, this bird was considered a reflection of the soul of Ra, the sun god. Referred to as Bennu, this sacred bird was a symbol of creation and immortality. Depictions of the phoenix can be found in the tombs and temple walls of the pharaohs, indicating its role as part of the soul's rebirth and eternal life for the Egyptians. In Greek mythology, the phoenix was thought to live on Mount Olympus with Zeus's special permission, believing it would renew itself in flames every 500 years. This process of transformation symbolized immortality and spiritual purification. In Persian mythology, it is known as Simurgh, regarded not only as a symbol of wisdom, but also as a representation of divine justice and protection. It is said that Simurgh guided people and assisted them in their quest for truth. In Arab mythology, the phoenix is initially portrayed as a sacred and wise bird living in paradise. However, it is exiled to unknown realms by the divine due to its interactions with humans, whose insatiable desires and greed taint its essence. This narrative is seen as a commentary on human nature, and many legendary tales await the day the phoenix will return. Bennu and the Egyptian creation myth. In ancient times, the universe was nothing but infinite darkness and chaotic waters. There was neither sky nor earth. Nothing was moving, not even time flowed. From this boundless emptiness, a beam of light arose. This light heralded the first dawn of the sun, and with it the sacred Bennu bird was born. Bennu became the first being to paint the sky with its golden and red feathers. When it flapped its wings, its voice echoed throughout the depths of the universe, awakening the sun god Ra. When Ra saw Bennu, he realized that it was a sacred messenger and entrusted it with the duty of being the guardian of life and time. People soon recognized Bennu's sanctity. The wise priests living along the banks of the Nile claimed that every morning at sunrise, they could see Bennu's silhouette on the waters. Its presence symbolized for the Egyptians the infinite cycle of death and rebirth. According to legend, if a person could find one of Bennu's fallen feathers, they would be rewarded with great wisdom and a long life. However, these sacred feathers were only visible to those with pure souls and honest hearts. At certain times, Bennu would leave, itself on an altar surrounded by aromatic herbs, setting itself ablaze with the first rays of the sun, becoming one with its ashes. However, this was not its end. On the contrary, it was a new beginning. Rising again from its ashes, it continued the cycle of life and time infinitely. Inspired by Benu's story, the Egyptian people learned the transience of life and that every loss could actually signify a new beginning. The pharaohs adorned their tombs with images of Benu, believing they would be reborn after their deaths. Benu thus became not just a bird, but also a symbol of hope, resilience, and the immortality of the human spirit. Phoenix and rebirth. Once upon a time, in the highest points of the sky, there was a hidden valley above the clouds. This valley was a sacred place accessible only to the wisest souls and the bravest hearts, a place where time could be bent. Here, at the highest peak of this valley, lived the legendary phoenix bird. The feathers of the phoenix shone with golden and crimson, hues resembling flames. It was the companion of the sun, the guardian of the oldest secrets of the sky. However, like all things, the time of the phoenix would come. One day the sky darkened, and an ancient call echoed through the valley. The time has come, Phoenix. Are you ready to rise from your ashes? The phoenix descended to the center of the valley, where the ancient wise birds had gathered. It built its nest from the finest aromatic herbs and healing resins. Then, turning its eyes toward the sun, it opened its wings and recalled every memory of its existence. A fire rose from its chest, quickly engulfing its entire body. The wise birds watching in the valley saw the phoenix burn, but mourned not, for they knew of its return. When the fire died from the ashes, a tiny shimmering chick emerged. The new phoenix spread its wings and soared toward the sky. As it flew, it collected its old ashes and presented them to the temple of the sun, god Helios. This act signified honoring the past and accepting a new beginning. From that day on, the cycle of the phoenix never ended. Each time it burned, it was reborn, returning stronger after every demise. As people recounted its tale, they learned to maintain hope even in difficult times, realizing that every ending is a new beginning. Thus, the phoenix became not just a bird, but the greatest source of inspiration for the human spirit. The wise journey of Simurgh. In ancient times, one day, the great sage Simurgh called upon the birds of the realm. Those among you who are the bravest, the wisest, those who dare to pursue the truth. Come, let us together find the path to the nest of the Zumruduanka. However, this was not an ordinary journey. When thousands of birds heard Simurgh's call, a light of hope ignited within them. Some were young and excited, while others were old and wise. Each decided to embark on this great journey in search of answers to the questions they carried within them. As they set out, they faced 7 great valleys. The first valley was the Valley of Doubt. Here, the birds began to question their own existence. Are we truly worthy of this journey? They wondered. Many were overcome by fear and turned. The second valley was the Valley of Love. Here, the birds experienced the pain and magic of dedicating their existence to another. Those unable to part from their loved ones had to abandon the journey here. The third valley was the Valley of Wisdom. Here, the birds encountered the deceptive games of the mind. Some lost themselves here, while others gave up questioning the truth. Only those who sought the truth patiently were able to continue their journey. The fourth valley was the Valley of Inner Void. The birds experienced the great conflict between being and nothingness here. Some became frightened and turned back, while others found inner peace and continued on. The fifth valley was the Valley of Purification. Here, the birds learned that they needed to shed their identities. However, those filled with pride and arrogance got lost in this valley. The sixth valley was the Valley of Death. Here, the birds faced the end of existence. Those afraid of death remained stuck in this valley, but those truly seeking wisdom were able to transcend this valley. Finally, they reached the Valley of Resurrection. Here, the 30 birds that remained finally arrived at Simurgh's nest. However, a great surprise awaited them. Simurgh was not the grand and majestic bird they had expected. When they arrived at the nest and looked at their reflections in the water, they saw the truth. Simurgh was the combined spirit of all of them. Upon realizing the truth, the birds were no longer the same. They had discovered the power and wisdom within them. When they reached Simurgh's nest, They understood they were not mere ordinary birds. They themselves were Simurgh. This journey completed not in the outer world, but within their inner worlds. This legend tells of the inner journey one must embark to discover one's own truth. Each person traverses their own valleys in search of truth, yet only those who are patient, confront their fears, and dare to get to know themselves can reach true wisdom. The story of Simurgh is one of the oldest lessons, teaching that the infinite potential within every individual will be freed by overcoming their fears. The phoenix taking human form. In distant lands, under the blue dome of the sky, there was an ancient city. In this city lived a dervish known for his wisdom. He was a being who defied the flow of time. He neither aged nor forgot the past. The people of the city would come to consult him, sharing their greatest troubles and deepest questions. Yet, no one truly knew who he was. One day, a great famine and despair fell upon the city. The people, ravaged by thirst and hunger, became desperate and did not know what to do. Just then, the mysterious dervish appeared again. "The heart of one without hope withers," he said, lighting a great fire in the city square. "Do not fear this fire, for the ashes herald a new beginning." The dervish raised his hands to the sky in prayer and vanished into the flames. At that moment, a gigantic bird appeared in the sky. This bird, shining with golden and crimson feathers, circled a few times before suddenly transforming into a beam of light and disappearing. With its departure, rain fell upon the city, blessing it, and the barren lands flourished once again. The people believed the dervish was, in fact, the phoenix, and they realized that he had come in human form to guide them during their hardest times. After this event, it began to be told that the phoenix would sometimes appear as an old sage, sometimes as a young woman, and sometimes as a traveler, guiding those in search of wisdom. In ancient Anatolian myths, it was said that only those with pure hearts could see its true identity, and that those who accepted its guidance would never be lost in life. Thus, the phoenix became not just a mythological figure, but a legendary guide that brought hope and wisdom to people in difficult times. The phoenix symbolizes hope, resilience, and new beginnings for humanity. Those who have undergone challenging trials drew strength from its legends, inspiring them to rise again from their falls, emulating the spirit born from its ashes. Throughout history, tales of this bird have provided courage to warriors, wisdom to philosophers, and inspiration for rebirth and change to leaders. Stories have echoed during the fall of great empires, the endurance through tough times, and the dawn of new eras. The phoenix represents hope that people can rise again, even in their darkest moments. Its rebirth from ashes symbolizes an individual's strengthening through overcoming challenges, restarting, and completing inner transformation. It guides those who feel lost in hopelessness, reminding them that every fall is, in fact, the beginning of a rise. In Western literature and Eastern mysticism, the concepts of renewal and transformation are illustrated through this myth. In Dante's Divine Comedy, souls reborn from their ashes are likened to the phoenix, while in Shakespeare's works, it is referred to as a symbol of immortality and purity. In Eastern literature, Rumi's Masnavis depict the phoenix as a symbol of divine love and spiritual freedom. In the world of art, this mythical bird has been employed as a metaphor for transformation and rebirth, from Renaissance paintings to modern graphic design. The phoenix has been deemed sacred in many cultures and adopted as a spiritual figure. Known as Binu in ancient Egypt, this bird was seen as Ra's reflection on earth, heralding rebirth and eternal life. In Greek mythology, it is called the phoenix, symbolizing immortality and spiritual purification. The legendary being referred to as Simurgh in Persian mythology represents wisdom and the journey toward truth. In Hindu mythology, the phoenix is associated with Garuda, seen as a bridge between gods and humans. In Islamic and Arabic mythology, the phoenix is portrayed as a symbol of divine will and justice, often depicted as a being that distances itself due to human greed and insatiability. Across all these narratives, the phoenix is viewed as a spiritual guide, depicting divine wisdom, rebirth, and eternal life. In conclusion, the phoenix is not just a mythological figure, but a symbol of humanity's unwavering hope, resilience, and continually renewing spirit. If you wish to continue exploring myths like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Follow us for new mythological stories, legends, and mysterious tales. Share your thoughts with us by commenting. Be ready to rise again like the phoenix and move forward in the light of wisdom. Throughout history, its story resonates amid the ruins of wars, in the ashes of lost civilizations, and in the new hopes that are born from individual pains. The phoenix serves to remind humanity that even in the toughest moments, they can rise from their ashes and always create new beginnings.